Hello YouTube. Okay, so I'm back with another review, and I know that it's super bright and my face is super white and I can't do anything about it. If I hold the things up, then sometimes I get colour in my face, but that's not happening. Anyway, I'm not doing a top 5 this time because I ramble a lot, so I'm just going to do top 3. And it's going to be top 3 remakes that suck balls. Like, really bad. And we're going to start off with number 3. Night of the Demons. Gotta put some music in this time, spice it up a little bit. That's enough of that. Yeah, so Night of the Demons remake. The first one is awesome. The remake fucking sucks. Okay, so the original came out in 1988, and it was obviously at a time when slasher was sort of on its way out. They were doing the sort of supernatural element. They sort of were getting into the whole, like, the entity and things like that. Remember, that was obviously made a lot earlier, but it was all about kind of possession movies at the end. And then obviously the 90s happened, and they kind of got rid of all that sort of stuff. So, you know, it wasn't as slashery as some 80s movies can be, even though there was a shit ton of demons in it, clearly. Yeah, so the original was pretty cheesy. There was some good one-liners, you know, I think classic, eat a bowl of fuck, I'm here to party, everyone knows that. But it was enjoyable, it was fun, and it was a good, I think it was one of the better 80s movies. They churned out a shitload of the same stuff in that era. I mean, they do it in every decade, but they really did churn out a ton of these kind of teenagers get killed movies. But I think it stands out. That and Clown House, but that's for another day. Yeah, so they decided to remake it. And I can't remember the director's name, it's probably on here somewhere, I didn't bother to look. But yeah, I remember in the interview, because there's actually quite a good documentary on here, quite a long one, and he was saying about how he's, like, the rights were coming up for it and he wanted it. This just falls flat because they watched the first one, they went, that's good, that's an iconic scene, and they just took them, redid them badly, and the rest of the film was just making it up. And there's one little problem with this that really winds me up. This has got Dora Baird in it, who was, I think she was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake as well. That's not on here though. She was also in Stan Helsing, and she's alright, I like her. But it also had Edward Furlong in it, and I love Edward Furlong. As a 90s child, I had the biggest crush on him when he played John Connor in TJ. Can't help myself. So yeah, he's in it, and he admitted that he'd never even seen the film before he, like, joined the remake. And it's got Monica Keena in it. And it's also got Shannon Elizabeth and a couple of other people you might recognise. So there's a good cast of sort of people that you've definitely seen in other roles in horror movies. Like, you will recognise them and go, oh, yeah, that's a chick from that film. But Monica Keena in the interview said, she specifically said something like, oh, the acting in the original was quite hokey and it's not in this one. Bullshit! What a load of crap! Like, I would happily watch the original over this one any day, and I still think this one's enjoyable in its own right, because obviously it was only made in 2010, I think. I did write it down. 2009, sorry, it was made in 2009, so it's not like they don't have the effects and things. It makes it still enjoyable, but I don't know. I mean, the original plot of the 1988 one is that there's an outcast girl called Angela. She's got a friend called Suzanne, played by Linnea Quigley. I might do a Linnea Quigley thing because I love her, and I just love her so much in the 80s. She's a brilliant B-movie actress. And they throw a party in the mysterious is it Hull House? Hull House, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Hull House. I've seen this film loads of times. How can I not know that? I think it's Hull House. And it's basically an old abandoned funeral parlour by a man who went crazy, killed his family, and now is a big legend. It's also on some mysterious ground, like from Red Indian times, and apparently the land is cursed, save for a wall that runs around the border of it. Now the kids, the two girls invite some people from school, and you you follow Judy, who's the preppy blonde cheerleader, and her would-be boyfriend Jay, and then you've got the other couple who are mainly there to have sex on camera for your viewing pleasure, and then of course you've got the comic relief, and of course there's a black guy in it, and I really get annoyed because they just put one guy in it, and they always just, I hate when they just kill them first, and you kind of go, this is why they get annoyed at the stereotype, do you know what I mean? But it's all good, it survives. But yeah, that's basically the makeup of the entire cast. and they go and have a Halloween party there because she's like really into Halloween. So they have a Halloween party, and they wake some demons, and they all sort of get killed here and there. A couple of them survive. That's pretty much the original. Good plot. Now they changed the plot for the remake. They made it so that there's still a party. It's in a place called the Broussard House, and there was some a dinner party, a famous dinner party happened there like 80 odd years ago, and all the participants vanished. So she's partying there because she's got some sick pleasure in the fact that she's in a house where there was some sort of wrongdoings. Turns out that they're demons, and they took the people from the dinner party, and that's exactly what happens in this one. They find the bodies, she gets bitten, and she passes the infection on to everybody else, just like in the last one. So they're just running around the house getting picked off. Now, I'm sorry, but that's a good concept. It worked in the first one. So why didn't it work in this one? Because they tried too bloody hard, that's why. They tried way too hard. I mean, they were like trying to get laughs where there weren't any. It is funny, it is kind of gory, it is a little bit jumpy here and there, but they did try too hard for the whole hour and a half long that it is. They took some iconic scene, like they took the lipstick scene. Anyone who's seen the original knows the lipstick scene. They took that and they fucking ruined it. Oh, I was pissed off. I was so pissed off. And the very ending, I'm sorry, but you're whinging about hokey acting in the last one. At least they had red blood. Your fucking blood is pink. I could not believe it when I saw this chick's clothes after being sprayed with blood, and she was fucking neon pink. Oh. And you wouldn't react like that at the end anyway. She wasn't even freaked out the fact that everybody was dead and she was the only one that survived. What a bollocks. Oh, and I must admit, they had one of those moments which usually is reserved for the sort of 80s, I think, even 70s, where there's something happening. It could be a witch, a demon, a vampire, just even like an old town legend. There's always that one person who knows what's going on, and even if they don't, they're always the ones who mysteriously find all the information in one place to tell them what's going on. Now, in this particular remake, that doesn't happen in the first one. She's already a bit too clued up on demons anyway, but there's no real reason for them to be there. They don't know that. In this one, the maid of the dinner party from 8 years ago apparently she wrote a load of spells all over the walls to protect her, which is what happens in the movie. Now, these are symbols. They're not words, they're symbols. I'm pretty sure there are no words on the wall. If you look carefully, you can just see it's a bunch of scribblings. Now, Monica Keena, having no knowledge of this previously, walks in there with the other guys to protect themselves, realises what they are. She goes, I think these are spells of some kind. Protection spell. And then she actually says this, the whole story's here. She actually says that. And then she literally goes like this up the wall and reads out to the other two the entire backstory surrounding why there's demons in the house. And I was like, oh fucking shit that she knows that. The fucking maid wouldn't have known that. Why did the fucking maid know all that? I don't understand. That annoyed me a bit because I thought you just what a total cop out. Anyway, that's Night of the Demons remake. I'm already at bloody 8 minutes. I better be quick. Okay, so this number 2. I think I've got a little bit of music for this to go in the background as well. Yeah, we've got Ellie and Oscar's theme to go in the background. It's Let the Right One In, which is the original, and the remake, Let Me In. Oh god, I hate this. I'm so glad I only paid like £3 for this. But yeah. So Let the Right One is a book. It's a Swedish book. It was by a Swedish writer. I can never pronounce his name. It's something like John Ajvide Lindqvist, something like that. It's a good book. It's basically about a 200-year-old vampire who's stuck in the body of a 12-year-old, because obviously they return when they're sort of 12-ish. I don't really want to give away what's the secret behind this vampire, but basically this is set in the 80s, and so she's a little girl and she needs to protect her, so she has a middle-aged man who gets blood for her every now and again. She befriends 12-year-old Oscar, who is the epitome of the outcast. He's skinny, scrawny, he's got no friends, and these two form this really awkward but really sort of endearing relationship over the course of a matter of weeks, I think. He gets bullied and she sort of teaches him to stand up for himself. He also teaches her about that you can interact with other people, because obviously she's been alone for quite a long time. And it's just basically about that. And it's sort of a love story in a way, because obviously they're too young to know what real love is. Like, it's not a romantic story, but it is one that sort of gets you in the heart, you know, because obviously she's got a lifestyle that she doesn't want him to know about. Eventually he does find out, and the fact that he stays with her. Now, it was made in 2008, this one, the Swedish one. Made in 2008. And they straight away went, yeah, we need an English one. Now, the problem with this is that the Swedish movie, it took from the book quite well. It really did. Now, there were some differences. There was a different atmosphere with the film as well. Because in the book, Ellie's a lot more outgoing, funnier. She's light-hearted a bit more. But in the film rather, she's a lot darker. Now, this is the only problem I've got with this. Well, not the only problem. This is the main problem I have with the remake. Is that they didn't even bother reading the book clearly. You can tell by watching it. They just watched the movie. So the first movie watered down the book, because obviously they don't put everything in the book in a film. That's the point. That's why the book's always better. But the remake watered down the movie. So it was literally like they took the most iconic bits of the book and just put that in the movie. I don't understand how in the remake it's Chloe Grace Moretz, who I love. I think she's great. I can't wait for Carrie to come out. And what's the boy's name? Cody something. Cody Smith McPhee, I think. He was in The Road with Viggo Mortensen. I love her. I think she's great. But I couldn't see a chemistry between these two, and that's the point. That's kind of like the thing that you're going for with this entire story. The Swedish one, they did a very good job of making the chemistry between them work. Now, apparently, she won a shitload of awards for her chemistry with him in this. I couldn't see it. I honestly couldn't see it. Well, I don't know if there's anything else that I've written down that I might need to say, but no, I think that's pretty much it. But yeah, I mean, there's a few gory bits here and there, of course, because she is a vampire, and obviously they have to get blood and stuff. But yeah, it's just a completely watered down version of the other movie. I don't learn anything else. They could sometimes, when they do a movie and then they do a remake or they do a sequel, they tend to go back to the book, and they might take different elements from the book that were left out in the first one. They didn't do that clearly. They just didn't bother reading it. They just took from the movie already existing and kind of ruined it, really. And they ruined the ending. I mean, the ending of the movie, like, you read it and it's great, but when you watch it, it's even better. And they ruined the ending. It was a great ending, and they just kind of Hollywoodized it. Fucking bastards. Yeah, that's Let Me In. Oh, that came out in 2010, and yeah, that came out in 2010. It's only 2 years. 2 years after the first one came out. It's a bit odd. Okay, right. Now we're at number one. Let's see if you can guess what number one is. Oh, it pains my heart. It actually pains my heart, because this is my favourite horror franchise of all time. Freddy Krueger is my favourite horror icon of all time. I love him. I love everything about it. And then they came up with this. Why? I mean, shit, they were at what? Number 8? Freddy vs. Jason was the 8th one, I think. Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake with Jackie Earle Haley. And you know what? The second I found out they were doing a remake, I wanted to boycott the fucking thing, because I don't like it when they remake 80s movies in general, because they always tend to ruin them. I mean, I know they've done some good, like, I think Rob Zombie did a good job with Halloween, I must admit. I think he did. But it's the problem with the fact that only Robert Englund can play Freddy Krueger, because unlike Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers, he has to speak, he has to do dialogue, he has to actually act. Do you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't just have to have a mask on and walk and do the strong, scary looking thing. He has to actually do stuff. So I was a bit sceptical when I found out it was going to be Jackie Earle Haley, but then when I found out who Jackie Earle Haley was, I was like, oh shit, that's Rorschach from Watchmen. I love Rorschach from Watchmen. I thought he was awesome. I thought he was really brooding looking and scary, and he'll be able to pull this shit off. And it also helped the fact that his Wikipedia profile picture was him with a shaved head, and I thought that's going to look great. Like, oh, he's only got to put like burn prosthetics on. It's going to look great. Then I watched it, and I wanted to kill whoever did the script. The humongous drawback of this shitty remake is the fact that his script was really poor. They ruined his role with his shitty dialogue. He had no dialogue that made him sound like Freddy Krueger whatsoever. I'm sorry, but anyone can stand there and pretend to be Freddy Krueger, and that's what it looked like he was doing. I mean, he didn't... Obviously, he's not Freddy Krueger, that's Robert Englund, but he just had one-liners. And they were really predictable one-liners, you know, I'm gonna slit your throat. Like, that's not, there's no personality, he had no personality in it, and I was really gutted, so gutted. Also, when they were doing the flashbacks to when he was obviously alive, before the parents burned him alive, he was just a quivering, pathetic mess of a man. And I thought, even in like Freddy's Dead, when you see Freddy Krueger before he was alive, he was still a fucking maniac. He wasn't scared of anybody. The point, if you've never seen Nightmare on Elm Street, the whole point is that he's a caretaker in the remake. I don't quite remember what he is in the first one, but he worked in a boiler room, and what he did was he killed a bunch of children. The parents got together, they threw like Molotov cocktails through the room, and they burned him alive. And then he got the ability to come back in your dreams, and he took the remaining children of the townspeople in their dreams, in disgusting ways, in funny ways, in all these ways imaginable. Really, really like awesome, nightmarish type ways. It was great. And that obviously ran through 8 movies. So they remade the first one, and they took some iconic scenes from it, but it's just not the same. I mean, there are two big drawbacks that make this remake shit. The fact that obviously Freddy Krueger's dialogue is crap, and the other one is Nancy. In the first movie, Nancy's the go-to girl. She's the one who does all of it. She's the one that gets Freddy. She's the one that takes him down. She's the one that you follow. In this, she's fucking crap. The boy does everything. There's a boy who's meant to represent Glenn, I think, her boyfriend from the first one, even though they're not going out. I think he's meant to be the Glenn of the remake, and he does everything. She's literally like the stereotype of an emo. I mean, if you were to sit there and go, oh, what's an emo? Look up the stereotype of an emo, and that's what they made her in this. She just does nothing. Oh, she gets on my wig. Played by Rooney Mara, you know what I mean? I like Rooney Mara, but I hate this character. Yeah, the only plot that they changed was the fact that in the first one, obviously, he just took them to his boiler room. They didn't really have any interaction with him otherwise. In this one, he was a caretaker at the daycare where all of these children they grew up not remembering that he molested them, and he obviously wants revenge. And then they find out that it wasn't that they lied and said that they molested. It was that it was the truth, and he wants revenge because they told the truth, because they find some photos that prove it, I think. So yeah, basically he's like the ex-daycare thing. So I thought that was good that it gave him more of a connection, because in the first one there wasn't a connection outside of the fact that he just killed them. So I liked the fact that they had the connection, but they just executed the whole thing really badly. Like, really bad. I hate this movie. I don't think there's anything else that I can really say about it. I've already been going for 17 minutes, 18 minutes now, so yeah. Okay, I'm going to end it there. Thanks for watching.